Hey there, nation, and welcome to another episode of Way of the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite gangs. And on today's episode, we're actually doing something a little bit different with the Way of the Underhive, because now with the Aranthian Succession game mechanic coming out with 2,400 credits you can use to spend on your gang, it does actually behoove us to actually go back and take a look at some of the older gangs that we talked about, especially the House core gangs. And the gang we're going to start off with first, of course, is House Orlock. We're going to be looking at building a roster using House Orlock as a basis to build a new gang of Orlock fighters for Aranthian Succession campaigns at 2,400 credits with the starting cost for this. Now, we're not going to do as much of a deeper dive as we usually do in this video. We're not going to really talk about the individual fighters, skills, weapons, that sort of thing, individual game mechanics, the big name game mechanics, for example. We're really not going to focus on that too much. If you want to learn more information about that, you can look at my earlier videos of Way of the Underhive, where we're actually going to quite in-depth analysis of each of the gang houses. This one's actually going to specifically focus on the Aranthian Succession, specifically talking about its strengths and weaknesses of playing in an Aranthian Succession campaign. At the same time, we'll also provide you guys a list or a starting roster that you can use in your very first game in an Aranthian Succession campaign setting. So that being said, let's get this video on a roll. So first of all, we're going to talk about the positive and negatives of playing in an Aranthian Succession campaign. So let's start with the positives. You have 2,000 credits that you can spend on your gang whenever you first create it, if you're staying in the Underhive. If you're planning on venturing out into the Ash Waste, you actually have 2,400 credits to play with, and that is what we're actually going to use for our list building for this video. We're going to assume the fact that you want to play both inside the Underhive as the Ash Waste, and so your starting roster will be at 2,400 credits. Now, unfortunately, many people look at that price increase of 2,400 credits for a gang that you can start with, and they get the negative attitude about it. A lot of people assume that what you want you to do is to actually spend twice as much money to purchase twice as many fighters to meet that core requirement of 2,400 credits. And actually, that's not the way you should actually look at it, all right? A lot of people think you should buy a 100,000 point gang and then double it, but they're wrong. In this situation, what you want to go for more is for quality rather than quantity of your fighters, and equip your fighters accordingly. So instead of just doubling the number of fighters that you would have in a starting gang, what you want to do is just stick with the normal amount that you'd always have when you first start out a gang, like a box set, for example, would be perfect. But instead of just buying like really cheap weapons and really cheap equipment, actually equip them accordingly. Give them really good weapons, give them really good armor, give them war gear that you normally would not purchase at the beginning of a campaign, and spend your money on that, your point values on that, in order to equip your gang. That way you can save a lot more money in an Aranthian Succession. So instead of having 20 fighters in your gang, you maybe just have maybe 8 fighters, but they're all fully equipped with everything they need to be successful in your games of Necromunda. And that's actually one of the cool positives of an Aranthian Succession, is that you can really build really powerful gangs and make them very elite. Now, let's go and talk about the negatives of an Aranthian Succession campaign. And first and foremost, it's going to be the balance bandwagon, especially if the people who are part of that balance bandwagon haven't received any upgrades yet. Unfortunately, Games Workshop just never releases everything all at once when it comes to these new campaign settings. It's kind of like a slow power creep. I guess it's a part of a marketing strategy. Personally, I feel it does a lot more harm than good, in my opinion, but whatever the situation may be, that's going to be a thing you got to worry about, because a lot of balance bandwagon people are going to complain about like how gangs become overpowered and you can exploit too many things, and if they're playing a game that hasn't received any upgrades yet, they're definitely going to complain about that. But as always, just ignore their complaints and tell them to put up or shut up, or don't play the game. It's that simple. Now, like I said before, many people think that a 1,000 point gang and doubling it is the way you go about making a gang for an Aranthian Succession campaign, but you don't need to do that. In fact, just start with a normal gang that you already have on hand and just fully equip them and make them as elite as you want them to be, so that way they can survive whatever the Underhive or the Ash Waste throws at them as well. At the same time, another negative about an Aranthian Succession campaign is that you may not be into narrative play. If you're not into narrative play, this may not be interesting to you. I'm just going to flat out say that right now. Aranthian Succession has a lot of narrative-based scenarios that usually use different gangs and very specific gangs to be in those narratives. So if you don't like playing narrative, this might not be an interest for you. But if you want to use the Aranthian Succession rules to build gangs for different campaigns, I highly suggest that. I think that'd be really cool as well. So now that we're done talking about the positive and negatives of playing in an Aranthian Succession, let's go and talk about House Orlock and how it pertains in this new campaign setting. Alright, so let's talk about House Orlock specifically in Aranthian Succession. Now, when it comes to House Orlock, players who played House Orlock gangs usually had a very difficult choice to make. They either had to one, make their gang extremely hard hitting, but make them very vulnerable for counterattacks, or two, they protect their fighters but don't make them as hard hitting in the offense. However, with the new Aranthian Succession campaign setting, you don't need to worry about that anymore because you get twice as many credits to spend on your core game. So because of that, you can give them all the gear as well. You can purchase armor, photo goggles, respirators, suspensors for heavy weapons, weapon accessories, cyber mastiffs, whatever the case may be, you can now purchase all these things for your gang. You can give them shooting weapons as well as close combat weapons to protect them. You can equip them with various grenades if you want to. And if you're going out into the ass waste, you can actually really upgrade your vehicles as well. For example, for my friends and I, when we actually do our Ash Waste campaign, we're actually going to use the Aranthian Succession rules at 2,400 points. That way we can really upgrade our vehicles and really upgrade our gangs as well. For example, if you want to have 2 Outrider quads, which are unique vehicles to House Orlock, and you want to equip them with heavy bolters, you can do that. If you want to give them all the vehicle upgrades, you can do that as well. So that's a really cool thing about playing House Orlock and Aranthian Succession. You can actually get everything you need to be successful right off the bat. Now for this section, we're going to do something a little bit differently in this video series than I have done in previous video series. Before, I never really talked about the alliances, brutes, hangarounds, and hired guns that you could bring for your gang, but we're going to talk about that in this one because I know alliances are actually a really neat game mechanic that a lot of people like using, and same thing with brutes, hangarounds, as well as hired guns. So for an alliance with a House Orlock gang, your obvious choice of the Guild of Coin, the Fallen Houses for criminal alliances, and the House Ran Low for noble houses are obvious choices, and the reason why is because they have strong alliance with House Orlock already. In fact, the House of Iron rulebook actually talks about the rules for these 3 different types of alliances, so taking them right off the bat seems like a really good idea, and they actually do provide a lot of good things as well as some negative things for your gang. Now another alliance you might want to consider as well is the Iron Guild. The reason why I picked the Iron Guild is because it's a pretty good fit for Orlock gangs because it reduces the prices of powerful weapons that Orlock gangs really need in order to survive out in the Ash Waste as well as the Underhive. So having that price reduction is really going to help you to equip your gang with better and more powerful weapons. In addition, having the additional D3 plus 2 Hive Scum also never hurts as well. So if you're looking for a different alliance that's not a strong alliance for House Orlock, I might suggest giving the Iron Guild a try. Now let's talk about brutes, hangarounds, as well as hired guns. So obviously the very first hangaround / brute / hired gun that you want to bring onto your gang is a rogue doc, and the reason why you always want to take a rogue doc is because in case one of your fighters suffers a critical injury roll. In a critical injury roll, you have to do a medical escort mission and actually spend quite a bit of credits in order to save this person. But if you have a rogue doc, it doesn't actually cost that much to save your fighter, and the rogue doc can actually patch them up. So that's the reason why if you ever start creating a Orlock gang, or any gang for that matter, more often than not, the very first hangaround they actually hire for a gang is a rogue doc for those reasons. I automatically suggest that when you first build up your gang, the first thing you should do is always get a rogue doc whenever possible, for that reason alone. Now at the same time, another really good hangaround is the Grease Monkey. If you have wreckers in your gang, the Grease Monkey is an obvious choice to take. The Grease Monkey could do a special rule called Supercharge, where you could actually, instead of moving forward additional D3 inches with your jump boosters, you can actually move D6 inches, which is really, really powerful as well. So that can help out as well. Another thing that could help you out too is the Bullet Merchant. Bullet Merchants are good because a lot of Orlock gangs have auto weapons like auto pistols and auto guns, and so getting access to those different esoteric types of ammo like gunk rounds, for example, or explosive rounds for auto weapons, that can make it really, really good. Like man stopper rounds, for example, can really help you out, and that really good discount can help out your gang immensely, especially if you decide to equip most of your fighters with auto weapons. And then lastly, the brute that is unique to House Orlock is the Cargo Lugger Servitor, which is great for a heavy weapons platform. You can put a heavy flamer, a heavy bolter, or a harpoon launcher on it, or a heavy stubber. I would suggest going with either the heavy stubber or the flamer, and the reason why is because the heavy bolter is powerful. It tears up a lot, but it's got a horrible ammo roll. So if you don't have any access to ammunition or weapon stashes or ammo stashes, it could really hurt your servitor in a big way. So that's why I would go with heavy stubbers. It's got a 4-up ammo roll, pretty simple. Flamers have a 5-up, so that could be a problem, but you know, you can also send in 4 to set people on fire. Harpoon launchers, same thing. So heavy stubber is probably the way you want to go with that. So now that we're done talking about the alliances as well as brutes and hangarounds, let's go and talk about your starting roster. Alright, so this is what I would suggest for a starting roster for House Orlock at 2,400 credits. This is assuming that you want to create a game that can fight both in the Underhive as well as the Ash Waste. So let's talk about what it consists of. First of all, your leader will be a Road Captain, so it costs you 185 credits. The Road Captain has mesh armor, a combat shotgun with shredder and salvo rounds, a stub gun with dum-dum rounds. They also have the 2 Pretty for Primus skill as well as the Overseer skill. After that, you will have a Arms Master, so it costs you 190 credits for that fighter. The Arms Master will be equipped with mesh armor, a arc hammer, as well as a stub gun with dum-dum rounds, so that way they get double attacks in close combat. They have the Iron Stare, big name, the Rule of Iron special rule, as well as Nerves of Steel skill, because they're going to be shot at quite a bit. Then you have your Road Sergeant, which costs 360 credits. This fighter's got mesh armor as well as a heavy bolter with a suspenser, so that way they can fire this and move at the same time. They also have a stub gun with dum-dum rounds for a backup weapon, as well as photo goggles in case you run into any environmental effects. They also have the Iron Stare as well as the Nerves of Steel skills, and that's because the Road Sergeant will be shot at quite a bit, so Iron Stare, big name, and Nerves of Steel will definitely help them to escape pinning. After that, you have a Gunner Specialist. It costs you 135 credits. This person is equipped with mesh armor. They have a grenade launcher with frag and crack grenades. They also have a stub gun with dum-dum rounds for a backup weapon, and they're also the gang specialist. Then you have 2 Wreckers. They're going to be costing exactly the same at 145 credits apiece. Both will be equipped with hazard suits as well as jump boosters. They both have chain swords and stub gun with dum-dum rounds for close combat, and demo charges to blow up enemy vehicles and blow up enemy fighters. And then you have 2 Iron Riders. Rider number 1 is going to cost you 335 credits. They're equipped with a stub gun with dum-dum rounds as well as photo goggles. They're riding a Outrider quad with a redundant drive system in case they take any damage, as well as a heavy bolter for long-range shooting. Iron Rider number 2 is going to cost 285 credits. This fighter's got a stub gun with dum-dum rounds as well as photo goggles. They're mounted on an Outrider quad with a redundant drive system and also a harpoon launcher as well. And then finally, you could also have a Guild of Coin Hauler for 570 credits. This guy's going to be equipped with photo goggles. They're driving a Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler with all-wheel steering for better handling. They have a Munitorium armor container as well as twin storm bolters for shooting. And since you have 50 credits left over, you're going to hire a Rogue Doc. That person's going to be armed with a Last Pistol, a Medicae kit with the patch-up rule as well as Medicae. Now, if you are allowing alliances in your campaigns, I highly suggest that you go with the Guild of Coin Alliance, because 1, it's a strong alliance, and secondly, you'll get access to the Toll Collector's Delegation. The Toll Collector's Delegation will consist of a Master of Coin armed with a Last Pistol and Power Knife and Gun Skull. They have a Displacer Field as well as the Escape Artist and Overseer skill. You have a Skin Flint, who's the Guild Factotum. This guy's got mesh armor as well as a Plasma Pistol, Fighting Knife, a Cult Icon, and the Lie Low skill. And then you have 2 Grovelers. Both these fighters will be equipped exactly the same with long rifles, fighting knives, as well as the Lie Low skills. And this is the recommended starting roster that I would recommend for an Aranthian Succession campaign. So let's talk about the gang overview real quick. So this gang is an extremely heavy shooting gang with lots of firepower and the ability to assist with reloads. This gang can also generate a lot of income as the campaign develops with a combination of the gang leader, the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler, and the Guild of Coin Alliance. The gang leader will earn 2d6 times 5 credits with their 2 Pretty for Primus big name. At the same time, the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler will also increase d3 times 10 credits every single time it makes a trade run. And at the same time, if you have the alliance with the Guild of Coin, you earn additional d6 to any credit rewards you get for your Guild of Coin Alliance. And with a few good rolls in different scenarios, this game can equip credits very easily, and they can outpace your opponents in the amount of money you're generating for yourself. This gang also features 3 vehicles that it can use in the Ash Waste, and at the same time you still have enough fighters to participate in the Underhive. Now the gang's main shooters, which are the Road Sergeant, the Guild of Coin Hauler, the Iron Riders, all have been equipped with photo goggles in case of environmental effects, so they can still shoot, maybe not as long range, but they can still shoot at further distances. I highly suggest you purchase a photo goggle for your Gunner Specialist as soon as possible. Now this gang consists of 3 fire teams. You have a support fire team and 2 assault fire teams. Your support fire team consists of your Road Captain, your Road Sergeant, your Gunner Specialist, your Guild of Coin Hauler, and the Guild of Coin Toll Collector's Delegation. This fire team primarily stays on board the Cargo Ridge Hauler to take advantage of the Munitorium armor container. The armor container will provide +2 on ammo checks and unlimited reloads even for your Outrider quads if they need it. Now the Road Sergeant and the Gunner Specialist suppress the enemy with their heavy bolter and grenade launcher respectively. Meanwhile, the Guild of Coin Master exploits their Overseer skill on the Grovelers, firing 3 long rifle shots at targets that far further away. Now the real killer in this fire team is the Road Captain. The Road Captain will be exploiting the Overseer skill on the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler, its crew firing up to 24, Strength 4, -1 AP, 2 damage shots per activations because of the Twin Storm Bolters. Because of that, the Road Captain rarely is engaged in the fight. He mainly stays on the vehicle in order to use that, to exploit that Overseer skill, but he does have the Toll Collector's delegation as well as his own combat shotgun to defend him at the same time. Now, your Assault Fire Team number 1 consists of your Arms Master, Wrecker number 1, and Wrecker number 2. Now, these fighters dismount from the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler, or they can board enemy vehicles. The Arms Master and the Wreckers can make short work of enemy fighters in close combat and close range shooting because of the weapons they're equipped with. At the same time, the Wrecker can rocket towards the enemy vehicles, plant their demo charges, and then destroy them with one shot. They can also reload those demo charges by using the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler's Munitorium Armor Container, and so they can use that to reload and do the process all over again. As soon as possible, equip the Wreckers with paired hand flamers so that way they can keep even more harm to enemy vehicles by shooting their crews with hand flamers. Now, the Arms Master is a deadly fighter in their own right, but the real reason you take this fighter is because they can provide much needed support for the Wreckers with their Rule of Iron special rule. Their 6-up cool will help the Wreckers out in close combat, at the same time giving one of them Nerves of Steel, so that's really going to help out. Plus, since this is a more of an elite gang, having that -2 to bottle test is really going to help out because your gang is kind of small. But like I said, they're fully equipped, so they're fully elite on that one. And then finally, your Assault Fire Team number 2 consists of Iron Rider number 1 and Iron Rider number 2. This fire team's job is to stick together and exploit an enemy's flank. They'll be perfect for engaging enemy light as well as medium vehicles with the Heavy Bolter and the Harpoon Launcher. However, they will really shine against enemy dismounted fighters as well as infantry. If they should run out of ammunition for their weapons, the crew can have them back up with their stub guns and dum-dum rounds to use that as backup weapons. And they can also zip back to the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler to reload their weapons as well. And when not assaulting forward, they should be protecting the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler at all times, escorting it on either side to deal with any threats that they may encounter. Now, as the campaign develops, I would highly suggest you equip them with stronger heavy weapons such as plasma weapons or autocannons. And that is the overview for the starting roster for your Aranthian Succession campaign. So in conclusion, upgrading your gang to an Aranthian Succession campaign is a great way to fully equip your gang with powerful weapons, war gear, as well as vehicles. With new vehicles dropping all the time, this could be a really fun way to equip your gang of your dreams and bring them out into whatever situation you want to run into. Now, I wouldn't stress about doubling the size of your gang, like I said before. The reason why is because a lot of the scenario rules that you actually see that are out there still limits the number of fighters you can take, so don't worry about doubling the size of your gang. Rather, take the gang that you have and really concentrate the equipment that they take with them, so that way they can really survive whatever goes their way. Remember, in Aranthian Succession, quality reigns over quantity with your gang builds, so always keep that in mind. And as always, I will be dropping new videos on this topic for the Aranthian Succession with other gangs to help you out on your Necromunda journey. So that's good for this for you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this for you guys. I will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.